Welcome to the Michiana Hivecast, where wellness meets community and conscious living takes flight. I'm your host, Jamila Blue, and I am so glad you're here. This is your space to expand, evolve, and grow together. Each episode, we celebrate the heart of Michiana through real conversations with local practitioners, healers, creatives, and community builders who are lighting the way towards connection, balance, and transformation. Whether you're just beginning your journey or deep in your practice, you'll find inspiration, insight, and a sense of belonging right here in the Hive. At Conscious Michiana, we are all about uniting people, sharing resources, and co-creating a thriving, holistic community. So let's get buzzing, and thank you for being a part of this conscious collective. The Michiana Hivecast, buzzing with wellness, connection, and conscious living in Michiana. Expand, evolve, grow.
Hey Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm excited. One of our mutual friends had mentioned you and the work that you do, and once I saw your website, I was like, "Oh, I absolutely need to speak to Kevin about what he's doing in our community because it's such a robust practice." I was just getting lost, honestly, in all of the modalities that you offer. I think that it's just a wonderful array of specialties, many of which I've not heard of, and I've heard of a lot of specialties. So I'm really curious later in the interview where we'll have the opportunity to talk about that a little bit more.
Sure.
So, yeah, so getting started, I wanted to just find out a little bit more about your journey from college football injury to founding a restorative spot. You know, it's such an inspiring story. And how did that experience shape your philosophy on healing and wellness?
Okay. Quite a story there. Yeah, I went to Valparaiso University and I played football there and actually got my shoulder injury before the season even started. And it was a rotator cuff injury. Shoulder surgeries do not have a consistent good outcome. They didn't back then, back in the 90s, and they're not much better now. I mean, it's gotten better, but they're still shoulders are one of those things that are pretty tough to get back. So through the help of some therapists around the university and at Porter Memorial Hospital, I got involved in some rehabilitation, some exercise, and that really started strengthening things. I was not good enough that I was ever going to go pro or anything like that. So it's like I just wanted to keep going with that. I got very interested in medical while I'm there. I've always been an outdoor person, athlete doing hiking, backpacking, and such, and triathlons. So when I got involved with the hospital, I joined their EMT program, which is emergency medical technician. And that gave you a very basic medical knowledge. And then I followed it up with the paramedic program, which is a lot more involved. And that you're taught how to start IVs and how to administer pharmacology and trauma and such. Really enjoyed that. Started teaching some of that as well. Um, then I came back here to Elkhart. I was involved in a family business for a long time. Worked in the family business, but I did the paramedic and the body work on the side. Back then, there was no licensure for massage or anything like that. And so I just kept learning and kept growing and kept working on other people. Well, my parents had both passed, and my children were not interested in continuing on with the family business. So I sold that. And I said I really wanted to go into the body work and helping people full time. And so that's what brought about Restorative Spot.
I love that. What a fascinating story. Kevin, what does restoration mean to you personally, and how does it guide your work with your clients?
Well, restoration to me means finding the root cause of what the problem is. So many times I get somebody that comes in and says, my neck hurts or my back hurts or something like that. But very seldom where you feel the pain is where the problem is actually coming from. So my ideal is to restore bodily movements, functions, and such by finding out where that root cause is and correcting that instead of just chasing symptoms.
Yeah, that's so important. So important. Thank you. You've trained in a wide range of modalities. Which one has had the most profound impact on your approach to men's health?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. In regards to my practice, the most uh, innovative or the one that changed my approach the most is structural integration training. I did my structural integration training with Tom Myers at Anatomy Trains, and it is structural integration is based off a philosophy of Dr. Ida Rolf, if you've ever heard of Rolfing. And so that's structural integration is the generic term for that. And so I did my training with Tom and a lot of his instructors, which really brought about how to go about finding that root cause. Prior to that, I had done a lot with the Brawl Institute, which is the visceral manipulation, which is working with organs and the viscera around um, the tissues inside the body. Whereas the structural integration works more with the body as a whole, and then craniosacral, which also does the head and that, along with many other things that kind of focus in there. But the for what I find with a lot of males that come into me, I deal with a lot of athletes as well, is that structural integration of lining up the body step on top of step on top of step seems to really be the key. And then where I can plug in all those other modalities, they fall right into place.
Mm, that's wonderful to hear. So let's go into Movember a little bit.
Mhm.
So Movember is all about raising awareness for men's mental and physical health. What are some common issues that you see men facing that often go unaddressed?
One of the biggest things I'm seeing with men in general is the increase of obesity. You know, they get stuck behind a desk. They don't get to move. They don't get to do as, a lot of men were active when they were younger, but as they age, they've rose up in their jobs and they're stuck behind desks. They're sitting more. They're more sedentary. So I'm seeing that seems to be a real issue, and the increase of body fat percentage, especially there's two types of body fat. There's visceral and subcutaneous fat. Visceral, which is what's around the organs and around the abdomen, and the subcutaneous fat is more like that pinch an inch type thing. The subcutaneous fat, that surface level, is not that big of a health risk, whereas the visceral, that fat around the organs is more of a health awareness. And men tend to store a lot of their fat in the belly, in the abdomen and such, which puts it right around there. Whereas females usually store it more in the hips and that where it's not as big of a medical issue.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. That's fascinating. Thank you for separating that because I had no idea of the difference and what the health concerns would be one versus the other. So that's fascinating. I appreciate you explaining that. Why do you think men are sometimes hesitant to seek out therapeutic or restorative care?
I think a lot of it is a societal thing. Men are supposed to be strong. A lot of men don't like to be touched. So they don't want a massage, or they think of a massage as just something that's going to be in some spa with some soft music and such. But I get a lot of male athletes that are my age, older, younger, all the way up 70s, 80s. And, just that structural integration, that body work where, they can get their body tuned back up and build those muscles. And the more that you can move and the better you can move, the better you feel. And so it's kind of one of those circular motions that, it can be a downward spiral or an upward spiral. So we try and get them back to that upward spiral.
Hmm. That's one of the things that I've noticed most is just getting that it's almost like I call it a gerbil wheel. It's almost like getting that gerbil wheel going. Like we gotta get it moving, and it's really hard. It's really hard sometimes to get it going. And once we do, it's like it just kind of falls into place. It feels so much better.
It does.
Oh,
And,
uh,
so much of it starts at the feet. People say, well, I've got knee pain. Well, very seldom, unless there's a trauma to the knee, is a knee issue. It's maybe the foot is overpronating, underpronating, all different things and causing things to be misaligned. And with that soft tissue, because the tension of that fascial tissue will pull bones and structures out of alignment. So by loosening and evening up, so it's an equal instead of just one side being short and tight versus long and tight, and trying to get everything equalized, kind of a tensegrity type equalization of the body.
nice. Can body work and structural integration support mental health, especially for men dealing with stress, trauma, or burnout?
The whole body, as everybody has started to realize in the medical community and in the alternative medicine type thing, is everything is connected. And just being able to get the body moving helps with the mental clarity. Just the more you move, the better you're feeling. Um, there's also a lot of somatic emotional work that we incorporate. A lot of that ties in with the craniosacral. But I've had a lot of men that have really grown from the somatic work when it's tied in with the body work, everything from military to professional and collegiate athletes down to the high school athletes. So it all kind of ties together.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. What role does preventive care play in men's health, and how does Restorative Spot support that?
Oh, prevention is a terrific thing. If you can prevent things from getting out of hand, same way with nutrition. I work with a lot of men with their nutrition. We'll go into it maybe later as far as what we have to offer, but, with different scans, we can see how many calories you're burning at rest and such, so we can help you determine what kind of a macronutrient supply you need. So, how much protein you need, how much carbs you need, how much fat you need. And all of those things will really help the body work at a better level.
Mhm.
And I know in my own body, I have found a lot of things that just by making simple changes, it has really helped myself, and I try and pass those things on to others. I'm just my own little N of one guinea pig.
That's great. That's great. I mean, it's the best way to know for sure is being able to integrate
Hmm.
it yourself, feel it through, and know if it works for you. It may just help somebody else as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you walk us through what a first time male client might experience at a restorative spot?
Sure. Typically, when we come in for, there's an initial appointment, and what we'll do is we'll do kind of just I'll sit and talk to them, kind of find out what their goals are. And then I really like to have them stand up, ideally in a pair of gym shorts or such, so I can see how the body is aligned, see where things are pulled. So many of us have all these little techs now, and we're hunched over on that. So, are it, you know, the shoulder, the pectoralis, all those things may be pulling forwards, which is what's causing the neck pain. So we just like to do a body assessment and see how their body is in gravity, and then kind of make arrangements to start working to make that a better posture for themselves.
Mm, mhm. That's awesome. What are some misconceptions people have about modalities like visceral manipulation or craniosacral therapy?
Oh boy, I can tell you lots of those. A lot of people think it's very woo-woo. It's out there. They picture these people in, robes and doing all these things. I've also had people come in where it's kind of a anti-religious, so they're afraid to do anything because they think it's against their religion or it's a competing religion. I will say I was one of those that was very negative towards visceral, towards cranial sacral, especially. I had had it done. I didn't see much improvement. I didn't notice anything. And luckily, I had a good practitioner that I went to, and it's like, wow, this really does work. And I've had the luxury of studying with John Pierre Barral, the Barral Institute, and he did some work on my head. And it's like, on the brain work and some of the visceral. I've had some other very good instructors from the institutes that have worked on me. And it's like, wow, this stuff really does work. So it kind of proved it to myself. And I knew it wasn't some placebo effect because I knew it was not going to work. And it ended up making some big changes to me. So I share that story with a lot of men that come in and women, but a lot of men because, they've got the idea of I don't need this work, it's not going to do anything, and it's not a their mind isn't open, and mine wasn't either, but it does make a big change, and I'm one to admit that I was wrong. And I've got some colleagues that laugh at me now because I was so anti some of this stuff, and now I'm teaching some of this stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a great lead into my next question. You offer mentorship and continuing education. How important is it to empower other practitioners in this field?
Oh, it's so important. The general, as with any profession, when you get your initial training, that's just it. It's initial training, and it basically gives you enough knowledge to not hurt somebody or hopefully not hurt somebody. But the more you go into it, the deeper you dive, the deeper I've dove, the more I realize I don't know anything. You just keep going deeper and deeper and finding out that there's so much more to learn, and the body will explain that and show you if you're willing to listen.
Hmm. Hallelujah. Amen. I'm right there with you. We will just listen to our body as it's screaming at us. There's something going on there, everyone. There's something going on if it's yelling at you. We got to do something and get back to that root cause, as you had mentioned.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to young men considering careers in therapeutic or holistic health?
It's such a changing, um, the whole medical community is such a changing field. I've got friends that are physicians, osteopaths, MDs. Um, I work with a lot of physical therapists, massage therapists, and it's kind of finding personal trainers, finding what you're really interested in, find that passion. You know, the old saying, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I'm so in love with this work. I work very long hours, but I have so much fun because I can see the changes that are being made. Um, if I was to start completely from scratch, I would probably go more towards the nurse practitioner side of things now, just because of scope of practice and such, and getting a bigger base knowledge before you start specializing. Because I've kind of went all over and made big circles and gotten the knowledge, but it's been expensive and time consuming. And I think that, just getting a very good uh, base knowledge of anatomy, physiology, and then keeping an open mind and growing from there.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. How do you see Restorative Spot contributing to the broader conversation around men's health in the Michiana community?
Um, I think it's a safe place for men to come where they don't feel that they are being singled out or making them uncomfortable. I think that we've got enough athletes and sport involved things that it makes them feel good. It gives them a lot of options, everything from like a cryotherapy to, just um, working on a knee or a foot, or, finding those spot problems and then working towards the root cause of what's causing that and giving them a chance to get out of pain. And once they start to get out of that item that's been bugging them for 30, 40 years, doesn't bother them anymore, then that entices them to do more. And so that's what I've really been proud of. And we're not getting people undressed for the most part. They're pair of gym shorts or whatever, so you can work on the different skin, but you don't have to go get undressed and hide under a sheet and listen to music and essential oils and all that stuff. So I'm not saying anything's bad about it, and it's great for relaxation, but a lot of men just do not like that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. Thank you. Are there any Movember specific initiatives or events that you're hosting to support this month?
As of no, as of now, I would say no. But I really think that after you bringing that up, I want to try and do some things, maybe with some body scans and such, to help people with their body composition and just kind of introduce them to that. So, yes, I think I will be offering some like 3D body scans so people can start going down that path and get them introduced on what to do.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And when you do that, make sure you send me the information so I can spread the word about it as well. I'd love
I
to do
sure
that for
will.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. What's one message you'd like to share with men listening today who might be struggling silently with pain, physical or emotional?
You you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to do it alone, through either physical or just some movement work of things that you enjoy. I think we can help restore them to get back to where they want to be without, you know, pharmacology and such. I'm not saying pharmacology is bad. I think it has its place, but I think we jump to that too quickly. And so I really hope to be able to help men with being able to um, get back to where they want to be without those type of aids.
I love hearing that. Yeah, that's good. Kevin, I really appreciate you answering all of my questions today. I wanted to give you the opportunity to mention anything or talk about anything um, that I've not covered that you feel would be important to share.
No, I think you've asked some great questions. I hope to be able to uh, help some men with this that are listening. I really think that one of the big things that I would like people to take away is that weight loss is not necessarily the answer. Diets are not the answer. Lack of muscle, because the more muscle you build, the more calories you burn just sitting there. So the body recomposition, things like that, of getting up and moving and exercising, and hopefully we can give some assistance to people that need the assistance in order to get moving.
Mm,
And it's like that wheel that you talked about. When you get it moving in motion, then it just keeps going. So I would like to be that initial push that gets people moving.
mm, that's wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you, Kevin, for your time today. I really appreciate you taking the time and answering all of these questions and also bringing awareness to your elite restorative spot that we have here in Elkhart in the Michiana community. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That is a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us in the Hive. We hope you're walking away inspired, energized, and ready to expand, evolve, and grow on your own journey. If this conversation moved you, sparked a new idea, or made you feel more connected, share it with a friend and help us keep the buzz alive. Conscious Michiana is a nonprofit powered by community, and your support helps us keep creating meaningful content, hosting events, and connecting people to the resources they need to thrive. Visit consciousmichiana.org/donate to contribute, because every drop of honey helps. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with us on social media. Until next time, be well, Michiana. The Michiana Hivecast, buzzing with wellness, connection, and conscious living in Michiana. Expand, evolve, grow.